During this time when there's so much focus on our physical health, it's important not to forget about our mental health. With all the changes happening as we overcome this pandemic, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, anxious, and stressed. So joining us now is board-certified psychiatrist Dr. Jessica Clemons. Dr. Clemons, thank you for being here. We know that social distancing can lead to fewer personal interactions, which can make it harder to control your stress, your emotions, your anxiety. So how do you help avoid these feelings at a time like this?
Absolutely. So to begin, this is a time where a lot of people are feeling anxiety. Quite frankly, I imagine most people are, right? Forget the 40 million people who already experience anxiety disorders. So what I tell people in times like these is, especially with social distancing, to be creative about ways to remain engaged with people in their lives, right? So if you're at home because schools are, closed, or you're working from home now, do things like FaceTime your family members. Make sure that you're checking in a very intentional way. Also check on your neighbors, doing things to remain engaged and not really overdoing it with the social distancing. You don't have to completely avoid anyone, obviously, unless you are quarantined, but it's going to be important to do that because, again, isolation can make one feel even more depressed, anxious, and continue to have those thoughts that are really hard to get out of a loop once you've started it.
When it comes to your setup at home, are there things you can do to make the environment more comforting?
Absolutely. So, now that we're kind of going into spring, at least here in New York, one of the great things is that you can absolutely engage, get that sunlight coming into your home, try to do things to really change the environment in a way that you feel, more calm, right? So if you have access to greenery, doing things like that, but also really using the space in a meaningful way. So doing things like yoga, exercising within the home, right? Really using what you have access to keep yourself active and motivated.
And then one of the symptoms of coronavirus is difficulty breathing, but that can also be a symptom of anxiety. So how do you tell the difference?
So I always tell people with anxiety, typically the only symptom that a person is experiencing is not just shortness of breath, right? So it typically is associated with things like having trouble feeling like your heart is racing or feeling tremulous, or perhaps being brought on by an anxious thought. With coronavirus, shortness of breath is certainly a sign, but also it's typically associated with things like fever or cough or being exposed to someone who is either infected with coronavirus or coming from a place that has already a pretty high rate. So I tell people, look, if you're feeling anxious and you suddenly can't catch your breath, try to take a breath. And if you find that relieves your symptoms, it probably is not coronavirus, but when in doubt, get professional attention.
And then we get questions by so many parents wondering, how do I talk to my kids about this?
So I think it's important to not lean towards trying to give them false hope, right? It's important to just be honest about what's happening, be honest about the fact that we're all trying to be protected, safeguard ourselves, but also give them opportunities to focus on other things. So try to do things to keep them entertained, play games, bring back some of the old school things like cooking together, spending time together, but again, being very honest about what's happening and listening. Listening is it's going to be very important in that relationship with your child. Don't try to tell them how they should feel, but be open to what they share about the experience, right? It's tough to be, out of school if you were expecting to spend time with your friends and now, classes are canceled for the rest of the semester. So it's just important to really stay in tune and stay engaged with them and really be supportive during this time.
Great advice. Dr. Clemons, thanks for being on. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.